Okay, I think we can start now. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this private session of In Conversation With, which is really weird because I never take In Conversation With, but I guess I'm doing it today. So today we sort of wanted to have a conversation about XRetail, speak about e-commerce, and speak about Afrikrea in relation to African brands. So that includes fashion, lifestyle, accessories. We have with us, Aisse Ndaye, who's the creative director of Afrikanista. I'm sorry, I almost made that mistake there. She's the creative director of Afrikanista. She started the brand in, correct me if I'm wrong, 2016, right?
2014.
2014, I'm so sorry. She started the brand in 2014, joined Afrikrea in 2018. So she's been on the site for about 2 years. She does e-commerce on Afrikrea predominantly, and then I think you have your own site as well. And then she also does some social selling. We also have Moulaye, who is the CEO and co-founder of Africarea, who has all the answers to Africarea anyone could ever ask. He's super helpful. He's been such a great partner for XRetail. Africarea offered so many solutions to the problems that I thought that African brands had when we were planning XRetail. And so we just thought that it was the best platform to really key into for this season, especially with COVID and the pandemic and people not being able to shop physically. We also have Zainab, who is the creative director of Aaboux from Lagos. She sells some very nice handbags. And then we have Damola Adejumo as well, who was also with us last year at XRetail, who is the creative director of Damola Jumo. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So what we're going to do this evening is we're going to have a conversation about e-commerce for African brands. We're going to talk about logistics. We're going to talk about shipping, because I know a lot of people had a lot of shipping questions. We're going to talk about shipping as well. And then if you have any questions or anything that you sort of want to bring to the floor, then we can have that as an open discussion later on in the session. So I just want to start off with, the very first thing, which is going online. And I sort of wanted to take this I wanted to start with Moulaye, because I know that, I don't know how many brands are actually on Africrea, but obviously you've created this platform that allows people to go online very easily. I've made 40 accounts in the past week, which was simple to me.
Okay.
And I know that, so I want to know what your thoughts are in terms of e-commerce as a solution for African businesses, and what the vision really is for this, for XRetail, and like going forward.
Okay. So hi everyone. So basically, like she explained, Africrea is for us the solution to help all sellers and especially designers of African-inspired fashion to grow their business. So the idea when I said solution is that we don't do only the website. That's the first thing that I must tell. And it's quite new because people see Africrea mainly as a website and an Instagram or Facebook page, if I were to simplify. And that's how most people see e-commerce. They see it as a way to communicate, to get new customer, and a way to get money, basically, to get the money from the customers. That's the two main parts. And from my experience now working with over 7,000 designers, so to answer your question, there is 7,000 designers on Africrea and from pretty much 150 countries. So all over the world, not only in Africa, not only in Europe or in the US, so all over the world. Everyone has pretty much the same recurring problems, I might say. It's not always the problem that people talk about, but for example, Africrea is also here to help in, of course, the big problem that most people have in Africa is shipping. So we try to simplify the process of shipping all the way from the pricing that we try to get the best deal in the country with our partner that is DHL, to also another part of shipping that a lot of designers and sellers don't really realize is time consuming, because shipping is a lot of time. Of course, if you have to do one package every week, it's not that time consuming if you think about it. But when you start to get 5, 10 packages to send every week, it starts to take a lot of time, and it's prone to a lot of mistakes and back and forth. So the idea for us was also to help in making it easy. So basically now on Africa, when you create your shop, you not only get access to, of course, showcasing your product on the platform, but you also get access to this shipping solution when you get an order. But also the shipping solution is available for people to use, even if it's not from an order on Afrikrea. That's another important thing, is that the ecosystem we're trying to create is not only to propel the sales in our platform. And that's the big difference people don't see. When you get on Afrikrea, our goal is to help you in your everyday life, even if it's not the sales on Afrikrea. So the shipping is one part. The other part that people generally don't see is, like I said, to try to get the payment, of course. That's also another issue. And you can create a website in Shopify with PayPal and etc. But getting the money in Africa afterwards especially is difficult. So the idea for us was to simplify the process and also to make it less costly. So the second thing we created and people don't usually think about is what we call direct payment. So it's a functionality on Africa that allows you to create a link to get paid by anyone, anywhere. So you can take that link and copy paste it in Facebook, in WhatsApp, in, I don't know, Instagram or any other mean of communication with a potential buyer, and they can pay you there. And when they pay you through direct payment, we, Afrikrea, take 0% commission. So there is no commission on this, because we assume that this is someone you found yourself, someone you already worked with or are going to work with. So we don't bring any value in the discussion except making the payment happen. So we take no commission. So you take, when you have this money on Afrikrea, you can easily, make that available to you in your country. So you can every Wednesday make a payout, what you call it, of your wallet on Afrikrea. So you can make payouts on, of course, bank accounts in Africa. Nigeria, for example, it works particularly well because, of course, it's a country where the banking system for all its default is pretty efficient, in my opinion, compared to most, most other countries in Africa. And you can also, of course, request the money by cash on Western Union or on any other places you would like to have it. So you can get your money easily. And we hope soon to have a credit card linked to your wallet to allow you to actually withdraw the money from the wallet when you want it. So that's the big picture about what we can do on Afrikrea for sellers and designers. And to conclude on what we feel about e-commerce, I really hope that this Corona situation will help people realize that e-commerce is not just a way of communicating and getting customers, because that's the main thing I still hear from people, is that they feel like e-commerce is just a way of basically a communication. It's the first part. Even the organization, like I said, behind the shipping, even the producing, because knowing sellers, the thing nobody thinks about when you're a buyer or when you're a partner of a seller is the hardest part is actually to make the product. All of the rest appears to be, I might say, annoying on top to the work of doing the actual clothing, the actual bag, because that's where you get judged afterwards. You can do all the rest, but if your product is not good and not quality and people do not appreciate it, you might have done all the efforts for nothing. So the actual making of the product can also be impacted. If you choose to do e-commerce, you need to even start thinking, and that's a thing that I think we're going to discuss a lot about, what type of product you're going to make, at which frequency, and even how you're going to produce. Because e-commerce allows, contrarily to, I think, physical retail especially, to not be in a situation where you have to commit and invest a lot. That's the number one advantage of e-commerce, is that you can get quick feedback from the buyers about what they like and what they don't like and what they want and how much of it they want. And eventually you can even tell at what price they want it. And that's something that I think it's still underutilized by most designers and sellers. That's why on Afrikrea, we offer also a solution to help you compare your prices to the other product on the same categories, and also your product prices to the best sellers in the categories on the platform. Just to give an idea, even that doesn't mean that it's the right price, but at least afterwards you have an idea of where to position yourself. And everyone afterwards has a different product and a different way of selling. So that's definitely what people call big data, but there is, like I said, e-commerce is a lot of possibility and a lot of, I might say, way of saving money and time. Not just a way of getting customers that are not in front of you. They are both. So that's pretty much my big vision and my big point trying to do this type of collaboration and events, to try to spread the gospel that e-commerce is really a different way of working and that it can actually be more efficient and even I think really more effective for brands that are in Africa. Because I think on e-commerce, we can beat pretty much any brand, to be clear, anywhere in the world. Not only because people start to think about, oh, because the prices can be lower. It's not only that. It's because the experience can be better. Because people actually buy also the experience in addition to the clothing. I think with Afrikrea, like I said, you can maybe talk to this, you can talk to any buyer, any potential customers on the platform. And I think people underestimate the value of actually being able to tell the story about the product. Not all brands can do that. People underestimate the value of actually taking into account what people feel and want about their product. For example, we have customers in the US that are very worried, for example, that the product might not fit their shape, because of course, most of the clothing are not made for their shape, or that the product is not going to be able to, for example, if they are very tall, to be long enough. And all of this kind of, I might say, stress, other brands maybe might not be able to address it. And that's the thing, advantage that we have on Africa and that African brands have, is that I think from our culture of contact and proximity, we can do a lot more on that for people. That's also something we try to simplify.
Thank you. I mean, as I said, you're the man with all the answers. And obviously, Afrikarea just seems like, you know, as I mentioned before, e-commerce is something that I've been quite involved in the past. And, you know, seeing, like, I want to take this on to Aisse, who, you know, you joined Afrikarea in 2018. So what has your selling online experience been, you know, before Afrikarea, now that you're using Afrikarea? How does it work for your business and your product? I think, you know, people on the call might not know what your product is. So maybe sort of describe what your product is, and then just like share with us, you know, how it's been so far and what you found to be successful, or what the pitfalls have been selling online for you.
It's for me?
Yes, yeah, sorry.
Sorry. I'm selling in Afrikarea since 2018, yeah. And thanks to the interaction between the client and the person in charge of the Afrikarea boutique, we can organize our production based on the client's direct request. And Afrikarea allows us to sell worldwide,
yeah,
without having to worry about the cost of an entire website.
Okay.
And
so where else do you sell online apart from Afrikarea?
What?
Where else online do you sell apart from Afrikarea? Do you sell on Instagram? Do you sell on your own website?
In Afrikarea?
No, outside of Afrikarea.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So where else online do you sell that is not Afrikarea? So like Instagram, do you have your own website?
Yes, I have my own website.
And does that, do you find that you sell a lot on your own website as well? Or it's just 50-50?
This is the 50-50.
Okay.
Thanks to Afrikarea, I have some of customers who came to the US.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, a lot of my customers in Afrikarea came from the US and Europe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, thank you. Damola, I'm coming to you next. So sort of how's your experience been, you know, selling online? You know, where did you start? I know that Nigerians, we do so much selling on Instagram. I think we might be the only country that sells probably predominantly on Instagram before anywhere else. And I shop on Instagram now way more than I ever did since I moved back. So what has it been like for you selling online? What made you make the decision to go online? You were already on Afrikarea before this. So I sort of want to know how that's been going for you and why.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the decision to sell online was obviously to reach, you know, a wider audience than my immediate area. So our store was in Lekki Phase 1, and it was a case of, you know, I'm sure there are people outside of Lagos, um, you know, that would see and want to buy some of our pieces. So you know, going online initially was to reach people in, maybe I'll say, other parts of Nigeria, originally. And so the very first time I started selling online was on my own website. But then I was only shipping within Nigeria then. But I found that, you know, a lot of Nigerians would rather shop in the DM than on the website. So we had this, you know, perfectly fine website. But then people would rather, you know, because, and I get it, you know, on some level, is that, for one, they know you're a small business, right? And they know you're able to chat with them. And then people always have questions, maybe that, you know, they, I don't know, can't find answers to on the website. So, you know, people will be in your DM asking questions like, well, but I have fat arms. Do you think the style will fit me? Right? So I think sometimes it's kind of like they want to have the experience, almost similar experience of shopping in store, you know, but without having to come there. So I guess, I mean, it takes a lot of patience to deal with selling in the DM, but then I found that it is what works for Nigerians. Now you'd find that even Nigerians, like in the diaspora, Nigerians in America, for example, who know that there's a website where they can shop, because again, they know you're a small business, and then they know that, you know, you're there for them. They as well would rather shop in the DM. So what I started doing though was, so I put the website up, especially for foreign orders, is that if someone sends a message about a particular item and they want to buy, then, you know, I ask them if they have any questions. If not, then we send them a link, you know, to complete the order on the website, because it just makes things easy for us in terms of even like inventory management, and then to extract all our data easily, right? As opposed to having to do everything manually. So it just makes things easier for us. But then I find that with Nigerians, you know, they're stubborn. They want to shop in the DM. Like, why can't I just pay now? Why can't you just give me your account details? You know, why do I have to go to this link? So, in fact, at one point I had two websites. So depending on where you were shopping from, it will automatically send you to the Nigeria website or the foreign website, right? So we had to take down the Nigeria website because there was hardly any traffic on there. There was hardly any activity. For me, anyways, that's been my experience. So yeah, I joined Afrikrea. I don't even remember when, but I actually met Moulaye at this. He was at an event in Lagos, Bella Night and Afrikrea. Yeah. So you know, we had talked and all of that, and then I joined Afrikrea. But again, I think because I had my website for the longest time, I didn't take it as seriously. You know, the Afrikrea bit. I didn't take it up until, I'll say it was like 2 months ago, that I thought, you know, I'm on this platform, why am I not using it? So I then uploaded my product, and we did get, you know, orders trickling in from Africarea, and I found that the shipping is fantastic. It's so helpful because I have a DHL account, but then their rates are like half the prices that I would normally pay with my own DHL account. Great that they let us ship orders that didn't come from Africarea as well. And I guess the experience with Africarea also is that a lot of customers, so it's like kind of like the Instagram DM, but then, you know, with being on the website, because they're able to ask questions, you know, about the outfit. Sometimes they ask for customizations, like, hey, I know the outfit has pockets, but I don't want pockets, right? I once had an order on Africarea where she wanted to buy a jumpsuit, but then she wanted a matching pocket square for her husband, right? So it was a, hey, I don't know if you can do this, but if it's possible, you know, can you throw that? So, you know, you get things like that. So again, it's like that Instagram DM feel, but then without you having to deal with send account details, blah, 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 you know, they can just check out online. So yeah, so I've been actively on Africarea for like 2 or 3 months. So yeah.
Good to hear you.
That's great. It's good to hear that, you know, you're trying to push people out of the DMs. And I think that is something that we always forget. I mean, DMs are, I mean, as a customer, DMs are a dream because I'm already on Instagram anyway. I can respond to your message when you respond. But in terms of business operations, as you mentioned, it slows things down. You have to then take out, every single order. Okay, we sold a size 8. And if you're doing that all day, I can't imagine how many outfits you're selling to then, recoup on your inventory at the end of the day. Hopefully you're not selling out the same thing online, which people don't also think about. And then Zainab, how?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other thing is, for me, at least I 100% prefer people to shop online. So for me, I find like at least 90% of my online orders come in while I'm sleeping. So it's like, you see, this is an order I would have lost if it was, on Instagram. Because again, a lot of people shop on impulse. So it's like, if you send me a DM and I don't respond immediately, then you're likely to change your mind. But then if you're on my website, you can check out immediately, right? So I 100% prefer to shop, people to shop online. But then does anybody have any solution? Like, how do we entice people to shop? There was even a time we introduced a 10% off offer. Like, if you shop online and check out online, take 10% off. Some people come to the DM and say, but I want that 10% off. I'm like, no, the condition is for you to go to the website, and then you're going back and forth, and it's like,
okay. That's so interesting. Zainab, how has it been for you? I know that you're new to Afrikarea, so I don't want it to sound like we're like plugging. It just sounds like we keep on plugging Afrikarea. And that's not the plan. But Zainab, I want to know how it's been for you, because I know that you also do quite a lot of social selling.
Yeah. Okay. So most of my sales happen on Instagram and through the DMs. We've been building a website for quite a while now, but I think the challenge that I've had is I make limited pieces of my bags. So by the time it's ready to put up, it's probably sold anyway. And we have to keep changing the descriptions and all of that. So it's a bit of a pain, and it's just been fine. Like you say, a lot of Nigerians prefer to shop on Instagram in your DM anyway. So we've kept that going. But yeah, Afrikarea, I mean, I just joined or found out about it during this XRetail event, and it's been amazing. Like you talked about the shipping, like the rates are just wow. Yes, I still have to put in the details and the information, and I think the payments that you mentioned as well. I'm really, what's the word, sold, and I'm sure even after Afrikarea, even just the fact that you have that access to the DHL account, I think I'll carry on staying there, because it's great what you're doing, like solving all the problems that African brands suffer from,
Thank you.
And I do a lot of sales when I go for exhibitions, and sometimes banking, you have to use PayPal or other things, and some people might not want to use PayPal. So it's great. It's really great.
Yeah, agreed. I was shocked myself when my Access Bank card works, because it never works anywhere. But it worked.
Okay.
It worked, which was surprising. So we sort of have a question, because I feel like I want the people watching to also be a big part of this conversation. And someone asked a question about non-print products.
Exactly.
And just before we came live, I was having the discussion with the other ladies about when we first went on Afrikarea. The first thing I saw was Ankara, and I was like, oh God, here we go again. Like, I know, and they think Ankara, like I understand that a lot of the continent still wears Ankara, and that is like, it's inseparable with Africa, especially West Africa. And I get it. But then we also have, like for us, SHR, we have a network of brands and companies that do things that are not Ankara, and they're so creative, which is why we thought that, I don't know if you've seen what our selection is, Moulaye, but there's very little print.
I've seen. I've seen.
There. And for us as well, it was an idea that, we want to sort of change the products that are on Afrikarea. We want you to start looking as your landing page accessories brand.
Yeah. I
wanted to, so the question was, how successful are non-print products?
Okay. That's a very good question that I tried to answer already, so I will repeat live for everyone. Technically, so there is different question in there. I know that the first question is Ankara or not Ankara. So that's in itself, it's a question that is, I can answer because Ankara or not Ankara, I can answer because when a designer uploads a product, they can let us know what is the fabric in it. So the one that have Ankara on it, I know because they enter it and I can tell which part of the product sold have Ankara. Like I said to the person that asked the question, is that now we have around 30% of the sales that do not have Ankara on it, in it.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the proof that it sells. There is no, like I said, Africa is not a platform. People tend to assume who are our customers. We have very different type of customers. For instance, I will tell you one thing is that you will have a lot of trouble to sell to American people a product without Ankara. That's something that it's very, American ladies buying on Afrikrea, you must know that most of them, for example, are, I think 70% of them are over 40.
Okay.
And when they buy African clothing, it needs to fit their vision of bold, colorful, and almost, I might not say stereotypical, but they need for people, when they see it, to think it's African because they wear it to represent their roots. So they would have trouble doing something that is, or I might say, much more even colorful, but less identical to what people picture as African. What they want is people to ask them, oh, how did you get this African clothing? So if it doesn't look African, they are less attracted. Now, these ladies are, for example, 30% of our customers. You have another part, for example, that are notably the people of African origins that live in Europe, for example, and even the people of African origin that live in the US. They, for example, won't buy a big Ankara dress or a big Ankara top. They tend to wear things that are less obvious. They can have, for example, t-shirts with a very nice print on it or something like that, or even dresses or actual bags, for example, or accessories or jewelry. They won't go for the big Ankara dress. And they represent 40% of our customers.
Okay.
So that's a big part of the target, for example. And the next part is also these are people that are, for example, non-African, non-American, but generally that are white people. They buy either. It's really a matter of the styling. So they don't really, I think, focus on the print or not print. So definitely, we have a collection on Afrikrea called No Ankara Allowed, simply. That's the name of the collection on Afrikrea, where we select products that are no Ankara that are performing well. For instance, I think I look at now, there is almost 200 products on it that performed well without being in Ankara. So it's a lot of, it's definitely possible. And I believe it's welcome, actually. Because the goal of Afrikrea is not to be the home of Ankara. Do not see us as that. Our goal is really to showcase the diversity. Our goal is to show just how large and how creative African-inspired fashion can be. Because I really have an issue with people only feeling that African fashion should be that. Because if you do that, you're always closing it to some potential customers, and in the same way, closing some potential sellers that have the creativity to create something different. So really for us, that's why we let everyone upload any type of product. And afterwards, we just try to categorize and help people find what they like. But definitely, there is definitely a market. And to be clear, this market of non-Ankara products is growing much more than the Ankara one. It's growing practically 3 or 4 times every year, bigger. So it's growing quicker than the rest of the platform.
That's great. Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the answer to the question. You also mentioned something. You mentioned something when you were speaking at the start about storytelling, and I think that for us, something that when I advise brands to go online. So, for example, when we're shortlisting for certain things or we're looking through applications, one thing that I always personally look for, hopefully I'm not the person that's going through the shortlist, is I always look for a website, or I want to see that you have some presence online, or if you're on Instagram, I want to see that you're communicating with your followers, you're posting regularly. And I know that, with storytelling, when people open their online store, so Damola, when you opened your online store, you probably said, you wanted damolajumo.com to look exactly how a Damola Jumo store would look, right? So my question is, and my question is open to everyone actually, is, but to Moulaye last, because I feel like he's giving all the answers. But I want to start with Damola. So when you were opening your online store, what was important to you to keep in your online store that read the same way as your physical store would look? So how did you keep the storytelling and the branding? What was important for you on your website as features to make sure that the customer was having a good enough experience as they would have in person?
So when I started, I would say I guess the branding, the general feel of the website, the language of the website as well as the photography, right?
Yeah.
I think those were the key points for me. Colors, and then just making sure that with each item that we uploaded on the website, that there was, sufficient information. So it's kind of like if you walk into the store and you ask for information about the outfits, we're able to tell you everything. So in the same way that the website has all the product information, that the pictures truly represent and depict, our brand. Even though lately we've kind of thrown, because of COVID, the photography has been all over the place, but, yeah, so just making sure that when you go on the website, the first page you see truly represents the brand, the imagery, the language, even up to the fonts and everything. We paid attention to every key bit of the website.
Thank you. And I like the fact that you said detailed description. That is something that we've also been trying to push. We're going to push it a lot more this week. It's just been a very busy weekend. Detailed descriptions. I think that, you should never have a product that doesn't have a detailed description. Because I think that, no matter what price point you're selling at, the more you can tell the person about the product, the less questions they're going to have. So if it's viscose, if it's polyester, if it's 100% cotton from Funtua in Nigeria, if it's not, I think the more you can tell them without them asking, reduces the questions. And if they have less questions, they're more likely to buy. You convert better when they have less questions. Zainab, I'm going to go to you and I'm going to ask, because I know you're the social selling queen. So how did you craft your Instagram in a way that sort of represented your brand? Because your Instagram does look like, when I first went on your Instagram, I didn't have any questions that your bags were not great quality. They looked the same. The photography was amazing. So how did you craft your Instagram in that way, seeing as not everyone has a website, but most people have an Instagram? So what was your strategy in that sense?
Okay, so for me, in terms of my branding, so for my logos to my photos, I was very clear on what I wanted, and the point was to make sure that it was consistent. So visuals, colors, themes, voice, and all of that. I just had a very, very clear plan, and I was deliberate in my product placements, the backgrounds, the colors, the themes, the story, and it's just to maintain that consistency wherever I am or whenever I post.
Okay, I like that. So you have like a handful of go-to like backgrounds, for example, of filters that you use, so you can continue posting.
So I use flowers. So to me, when I started Aaboux, I just thought, okay, my logo is black and white, classic, but then Aaboux is a spin-off of my name, and Zainab means desert flower. So I knew I wanted that to be part of my aesthetic. And so whenever I'm taking photos, sometimes color, sometimes green, and it's just knowing what I wanted and just keeping it consistent all the time.
That's great, thank you. Okay, Aisse, I'm gonna go to you next, and I want to know, because I know that you didn't really tell people about your brand, but Afrikanista is you do a lot of t-shirts, but a lot of the inspiration comes from like hieroglyphics, ancient Egypt. You have a lot of that sort of imagery. So with your storytelling, which is a very interesting story to tell, it's not a story that is actually really told by, you know, sub-Saharan Africans, you know. So how have you made it consistent in your branding and your storytelling to your customers so they understand what they're buying, even though they think, oh, this is a really cool t-shirt? How do you do that? So what is the process that goes behind it to get the final like images or description?
In Afrikanista, the storytelling is very important. And my Instagram page, I show the storytelling of my brand about vintage African photo families, about African quotes, about the situation of African family immigrant in France, and this is my this is an excellent moyen to show my story to the customers, and after that the customer like my product, and I can sell my product after that. Sometimes customer ask me question about the brand, about the storytelling, why I use African photo, because the principal inspiration of my brand is an old photo of my mom on my hand, and I want to show the tribute about African families, about sub-Saharan culture in my t-shirt, and I think customer like that. And my Instagram page, it's a showcase, and after that, the website is the final selling. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, completely fine. Great, thank you.
But for me, the storytelling is very, very important, because today in Africa we have a lot of each person have a storytelling about our heritage, about why we live with the African heritage, and it's important to show your stories, or identities, or blackness, and it's important for me to tell that.
Right, thank you. All right, so over to Moulaye again. So I mean, I asked those questions because I think, you know, they all have similar but separate products.
Exactly.
In terms of Afrikrea, you know, you have skincare, you have accessories, you have clothing, but I feel like there's something that probably ties together the best selling stores on Afrikrea.
Oh, yes.
So I wanted to know, I'm alluding to something that I feel like there's a certain quality that's there, even though it's you know, there's one format that the website allows.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's an X factor into it, you know. So I sort of want you to tell everyone what the thing is that separates the people that sell really well, and we've had this conversation before, from the people that don't sell.
Yeah, like you said, the X factor is pretty much what was said before, or what, especially what Zainab said that was very, very important, that is consistency. Honestly, it's the biggest and the single denominator between what we call top sellers. So a top seller on Afrikrea, it's not even big in amount. It's someone that does regularly over 2,000 euros of sale per month. So it's not even a huge, some of them go as high as doing $40,000 a month. So it goes very, very high. And you have other that do just 2,000 a month. But from 2,000 a month to 40,000 is pretty much the same thing. The consistency is what we described. So you have to be consistent first on your pictures. That's the number one. I don't know how to explain it otherwise, but pictures, rather than just taking big pictures, because people tend to take beautiful pictures, I imagine. But sometimes even beautiful pictures don't do the job because you just don't see the product. That's the number one problem, is that sometimes it's so artsy that it's hard to understand what you're selling. So the number one thing is how clearly the picture, showcase the product, and the direct thing that anybody when he's shopping online does is going to look at the price. So that's the number one consistency you must have. Your price must be consistent with your pictures and must be consistent with your description, which means that when you sell a product $10, you can have a picture that is pretty much shitty and you can have no description. If the product fits the need, people are going to buy it. Like, that's the truth. Like, there is no real mystical in the selling any of this. But if you start to sell something over, I might say $100, no matter how beautiful the picture is, if you have no description, people are not going to buy. Because the first thing they do is when they look at price and look at the product, that when they like it, because sometimes they just don't like it and they just move by, but if they click on your product, they're going to look at the description to try to understand why is it worth $100. Because in this Fashion Nova days and all of these other solutions to buy clothing from China, when people decide to buy something for more than 40 euros now, is that they have a reason. They like it, but they need to have an understanding of what they're buying. So that's why they end up asking questions if there's no description. And even if they're not, even if there is a big description, they tend to ask questions to confirm their feeling that it's worth it. And the last part that is killing a lot of designers, and that's maybe the most important one, is that you need to upload often and have often new products. That's something that is killing most designers, is that they tend to do 2 collections a year, for example. That doesn't work. Like 2 collections a year. I have no designer in the group that I told you about that do 2 collections a year. None of them does that. Sorry, Zainab, I didn't hear you. I think you were talking.
No, sorry.
No problem. So no, you have none of them. Like the designers that do the most sales, they put in common, the minimum that they do is to put new products every month. That's the minimum. At least 2 products every month. That's the minimum. The best designers that do the most volume are the ones that put new products pretty much every week. And to be able to do that, of course, people are going to ask me, how come you do that with, it costs a lot of money? Yes, it costs money. But generally what is most important, rather than for example, to spend a lot of money of having a big photographer and a very beautiful model, is to spend money in the product. They don't create a lot of stock for the product that they sell. They take a lot of pictures of the prototypes of the product they do. And if someone orders it enough, then they start making it on demand. They don't do a lot of stock. Because the problem with stock is that you don't know what people are going to want. And just to give you an idea, no matter who is the seller on Afrikrea, and no matter the type of product, may it be food, fashion, you need to keep another information in mind, is that 80% of the sales of the top seller designers came from one product in one color. So it's the same thing for pretty much everyone. As soon as you start selling a lot, you will realize that everyone wants the same product. They all want the same color, the same product, and they will pester you with the same product. So what happens is some designers decide to take it off and then their sales fall. But if you maintain the product that is the best seller, as we call it, and you keep offering a lot of sizes with it, a lot of colors of it, you might see your sales grow. And that's the thing that is also a big difference, is that you don't know which one is going to be the best seller. Every time I ask a designer, how come this product is the best seller? The most common answer they have is I don't know, and I don't understand. Because for them, generally, they say that it's a product that they feel was the easiest. Yeah. They put pretty much no effort in the best sellers. The one that they put a lot of effort into, that they love, sometimes people don't even realize. So I know a lot of designers, when I say that, they're all like, oh yes, that's true, it's killing me. But the truth is, buyers don't look for the most complicated thing. They look for what appeals to their heart. And sometimes, and that's why it's important for a designer to do a lot of product often, is that when you do a lot of product often, you will start to do, I might say easier things, but simpler things. Simpler for you to do and simpler for them to apprehend. And when you do that, you ultimately end up into finding what is your type of product. Because like I said, everyone has a good type of product for him. Everyone can sell a lot. You just need to find what is your best seller. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
In terms of X Factor.
We also have a question on skincare.
Yes.
I know that the time we spoke about skincare when we were doing our
Yes.
listing, we sort of
skincare.
skincare. So please let them know what your visions for skincare are.
That's very interesting. So skincare wise, to be honest, skincare started on Afrikrea, I think 3 or 6 months ago, just before Corona. So it's very new. And we have, the thing is, like I said, we have not enough products on skincare nowadays to give you a lot of sales. Because on Afrikrea, the only, I might say, parameter that is linked to the volume of sales, meaning which month we sell the most or which type of categories sell the most, is the number of products offered. There is no link between the price, no link with the quality of the photos. There is no link with any of that. What makes a category sell well is how many products is there. So how much variety is there. So skincare wise, I'm confident it can do very well, especially skincare products that are costly to find in, for example, in Europe or in the US, like shea butter, like cocoa butter. All of these skincare products are very looked and very searched for in, I might say, the Occident in these countries, and it's very expensive. So now that we have fixed some of the shipping issues, I really believe the skincare from Africa is going to take a very big step, because people that do skincare in Africa, they tend to have a lot of, I might say, distributor and people between them and the client overseas, from what I've heard so far. So I think now it's a big opportunity. If they can have enough product and regular new products, they will definitely sell just as much as the clothing in one day.
That's great, thank you. So you sort of mentioned about shipping.
Yes.
I wanted to find out, what is the percentage between your customers that are outside Africa and your customers that are in Africa? Because we were sort of discussing about how shipping and payments are the two things that are stopping Africans from buying from other Africans. And I know this is like something that you're pushing. So what is the current, what's the current divide between sales from Africa and sales from the diaspora?
That's a good question. So first, before saying that, you must understand that Africa, for example, we have, I think, something that we could do better about selling to Africans is that we do not yet display the website in the African currencies. So I think we discussed that, and I think that will definitely help. I hope we will do it. I know we will do it by the end of the year. I know we'll do it. But that's something that I know a lot of customers don't even assume they can buy it in Africa and be delivered just because the prices are in euro or in dollars. So that's our big, and I must recognize that, and that's also something we need to work on. That explains why you don't have that much sales in Africa. So number-wise, of course, most of Africrea sales are still and completely and overwhelmingly in the US and Europe. So if I were to give you numbers, I try to be exact in the numbers, but globally, I might say that sales-wise, if it's only sales, you have around 70% that is just US and France. US and Europe, to be honest, because Europe, I include UK, because UK is also growing a lot, more and more now. So US, UK, France, if you take US, UK, Canada, and France, you have most of the sales. But if I gave you the exact number, to go from, I might say, destination Africa, so basically how many sales are going to Africa, it's, what is the number? I'm trying to look here. It's 1% currently. So it's very little. It's very, very little. And like I said, we know why, basically also because we don't do the work on it. Because when we look, for example, another data that we track now is that we track the shipment of the designers. Like I said, designers can now order directly from the website when they have shipments, even outside of Africa that they want to ship. They can buy the bills, the way bills of DHL on the platform. So we tend to track that to see where is destination. And if you take that into account, now you end up with 5% of the shipments and sales that go to Africa. So basically, that shows us that people can ship to Africa. There are actually sales happening inside Africa. But the issue generally is, like you said, the shipping. Payment is one thing, but generally payment can be solved. It's costly, but it can be solved. But shipping, the issue of shipping is duties. Because every seller that eventually one day shipped to another African country will tell you a story about the buyer having trouble getting in from the customs, or if they get it, they have something to pay, which is very strange because officially we are supposed to have some type of exactly. So it's officially, but it's not effective yet. So these are the barriers, I think, to shipping in Africa. Of course, inside, I know that Nigeria is very different from the rest because people in Nigeria really are, like I said, have a really good payment and banking system that simplifies most of. That's why I think the Instagram, one of the reasons for me, what I think the Instagram DMs work so well in Nigeria also is that to send money inside the country is so easy. I might say you have so many solutions that it's really, the website is not solving anything. It's not helping. The only thing that they're helping is maybe the trust and maybe the, like I said, the saving of the time for the seller, but the buyer doesn't gain a lot. That's why Nigeria is specific. It's only Nigeria. Even Kenya, that has a very big mobile money system, doesn't do that much sale on Instagram. That's very specific to Nigeria.
Thank you.
So,
Zainab?
that's what I think.
Okay, Moulaye, I had a question for you. You know,
Yes.
you were talking about the storytelling and people reading product descriptions. So I wanted to ask that, do they look at your brand? Because I know there's a part where you talk about your store and your brand, and then there's also parts where you talk about the product description. So
Yes.
should you repeat sort of your story in both parts, or what do you think is best?
I think just keep in mind that in general, people only read when they like it. So they don't read most of the time. Just so you know, the big issue is that people online tend to buy without reading. So that's very, very problematic because sometimes they don't read and afterwards they're surprised when they see a product when it was already written some details in the description. So the description of your shop is extremely important because that's probably the thing they will tend to read the most if they buy more than one product from you. Because at this moment they read who is it? Who is the person behind it? So the shop description is more important in that sense, especially because the shop description, how can I explain it simply? You know, a lot of designers tend to say the same thing, like I want to showcase a different vision of Africa. Some kind of variation of, I want to show a different image of Africa. So this type of language is good, but it's not enough. So what people want to know is, what is your name? Where do you live? How did you learn to do this clothing? Who is doing the clothing exactly? Are you making it by hand? Not? Why? What is inside the clothing? So for example, I say, what are the pictures from? Who are on the pictures? What is the story behind? So generally, my concern is to try to put as much effort in the short description. And generally, I recommend to fill it over time, because when you do it the first time, you might say what is normal for you. But when you start to have questions from people, I recommend going back and putting the answers of the question of people inside your short description and your product description. Because when you do that, you tend to, over time, get a more detailed description. Because we realize that people will ask you often the same question just because they like it. And if you start putting it, you grow this way your description. And this way you grow also the quality of your conversion.
Okay, great, thank you.
For me, the number one focus should be the short description. The product description should be very, I might say, on the usability and the wearability. How to wear the product, how to use it, what can be changed in it, how to wash it. It depends on the product, but I know, for example, for bags, I know that dimensions are critical. I don't know how some designers don't give dimensions. People need also to know how many pockets there are inside. If there is a specific pocket for, I don't know, maybe credit cards, or sometimes bags are very, one of the products that people look description the most on. And for example, they will ask if they can, I don't know what is the name, to adjust, exactly, to adjust the length. So all of these details on bags are more important, for example, than clothing, to answer your question.
Great. Thank you so much.
I know that something that we had a few questions on in terms of the brands that are onboarding is they weren't very sure because, you know, everyone makes their products, especially clothing, to a separate, they have their own sizing guide. So if they're selling in UK sizes or
yeah, that's a big issue. Yeah.
and they all wanted to know how to basically communicate their sizing best to customers.
Yes, that's a good question.
Image, or is it better to do it in description, or is it how would you suggest is the best way to not offer customers and still tell them about your sizing?
Yes, that's very important. So I will start with the end because it's more, I think, pragmatic this way. Just keep in mind that, like I said, pretty much, I might say 50% of the time, people don't read anything. So no matter what you put there, they might not read it. So no matter how many details, what happens in general is that what we recommend designers to do is, if you're sizing, for example, depending on the clothing, because some clothing are less complicated than others, obviously. The more large and ample you have, the less issue you have around sizing generally. So what we recommend is when you have an order, you can talk to the buyer. So what we recommend is at this moment to try to confirm the size. To tell her, okay, what are your measurements so I can make sure that it's the right size, or to send at this moment your own, your own sizing chart, to give information basically, because at this moment the person is committed. Once they buy, they're very committed into making sure it fits them. So this is the best moment to do it actually. Other than that, to save you some time there, what you can do is, there is two tricks to it, is to put your sizing chart as a picture for the product, because sometimes they usually look more at the pictures than they look at the description. So if you can put your sizing chart as in the pictures, you're saving yourself a lot of time because they will definitely probably look at it. And finally, the last thing you must keep in mind is that on Afrikrea, we did what we call an indicative sizing chart for all the type of systems, so UK, France, US, and with the different measurement of the person. So that is, for designers, the last fallout is that if they receive an order, for example, of someone wanting a 4XL, you can look at, okay, 4XL correspond to this measurement, which for me can be a 5XL or can be a XXL. So you can use what we give you if you have no response as an indicative thing, because we used the actual data of people buying on the platform to make this sizing chart, and we mixed it with the different sizing chart of websites like ASOS, like Dia, all the websites that people always use to make sure that it's very common. So that's the last thing. So the first thing is always confirm the measurement if you can when you have an order. Keep in mind that, in Africa, another thing that we have is that people can create automatic messages. You can have messages that are pre-done, and you just, every time you have an order, you ask them that. So that's to save time. So you don't need to every time type, can I have your measurement, please, etc., etc. You can create the predefined answer, and you send it every time you get an order. So that's saving you time.
I think predefined answers is also something that is very effective.
Yes.
E-commerce. One thing I would suggest, especially for messaging customers, is customers always have a set ambit of questions. It's either like a size question, a product quality question, a fabric question, those sort of questions. It's always easier to have these sort of answers ready to go and literally just fill in the name. So take away X and put in, Damola instead, or, put in where the country is. If they have a shipping question, how long it takes. That usually actually converts sales actually better than, not filling in the answers one by one. And I know that with messaging as well, quick messaging converts sales better than slow messaging, which is why we also suggest that you put an email that you see a lot, so that you can respond to messages as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
So Zainab has another question about colors. Are you allowed colors that are not the preset colors on the site? So can she make custom colors?
So that we don't do it for a very practical reason is that actually, you know, colors are used for two things. The number one reason we use colors is for people to filter. So, you know, when someone comes on Afrikrea, generally, for example, they know they want a yellow dress. So they're going to come and filter on yellow on all the dress. So if we let you input your own colors, you will not appear in any filters. So that's why we only use a limited numbers of colors. And that's why also we ask every designer to try to find the closest color they can to it. Because even if it's not the right color, people are going to look for something like that. The color criteria is not used as a description. It's used to filter. It's not the same as the thing. So you can put in the description the real name of the color. You can even detail the shades that you have on different parts. But that's why we have the color, the dominant color. For example, if you dress as yellow, but a little red, a little blue, you should put yellow. Just because you should think about basically what would someone describe it as the dominant color, because that's what they were looking for. It's not about details there. You can do it in the description, but the filter is for really finding it. And another thing that you must keep in mind is that on Afrikrea, almost 50% of the traffic comes from SEO, so from the search, people searching words. So that's also one thing we use from your filters to put in your URL. So I don't know if that makes sense. Then the address of your product that is used for search. So that's why we also need to have, because people are not going to put necessarily, I want a mustard dress. They're going to maybe start looking for a yellow, and then they're going to look inside the yellow one, which one is mustard or etc. So that's why we limit the numbers of colors. It's because we try to give you the maximum chance to be found, either on the website or on social or in search.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I understand that, and thank you for explaining that. For someone like me that makes handbags, I have combination colors.
Yes.
Like, and even some basic colors like silver. Silver is not an option in your color choices. And
oh yeah. Okay, silver count as gray, for example. That's another example. So what I recommend, that's what I recommend is for bags. I know it's very troubling, but like I said, you can put in your product name, for example, silver and etc. bag, and you can put in the description all the keywords that you want.
Okay, got it.
But on the filters, for example, if we put silver, you will be probably 3 designers in silver. So you see, the number of products will be so low, people won't search it. So that's
okay. I didn't see gray as an option actually, so that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. You have gray. Exactly. Yeah. I'm very sorry. I know it's very.
Just trying to pigeonhole into existing colors, and you're like,
exactly.
Like
yeah, I
chose multicolor because
exactly.
You know, there's several. But yeah, thank you.
Exactly. You can use multicolor. I recommend as much as you can to not use multicolor because nobody is searching for multicolor. But we created for the time where it's nobody search for multicolor. Everybody search for one color. So even when you look for a bag, you think about the primary color, and afterwards you look into the different variation. But really, this filter, and I think normally we wrote in the top of the filter to tell you guys this is the dominant color because people search for it. It's what you should put there. Silver, you put gray, for example.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I think I'm just going to have one more question, and then I think we can answer other questions. I think maybe what might also be quite effective is after this question, if you have a question for Moulaye or for any of the other ladies, you can raise your hand, and then I can allow you to talk, so that that's less reading and less typing on Moulaye's part, because you seem to be typing away these answers. So I think
no problem.
I think the last question would be sort of, how do we move from social selling on Instagram to something that is more secure in terms of payments and everything? I know that, so this is a personal thing, but my Instagram got hacked a few weeks ago. And if I had a business account on that, that would be terrible. Fortunately, I do no business on my Instagram, so they had no money to get from me. But if it was a business account, then obviously you're opening yourself up to further fraud. So how do we? What are your thoughts or your visions on us moving from social selling, which was so stuck in. And it's not a bad thing. I think that swipe up to shop is amazing. We're begging Instagram to give us the shopping bag icon. I'm trying to think of everything that we can do to sort of sell better. But what are your thoughts on how we move from social selling, especially with us and our quick transfers? How do we move from social selling to something that is more secure and something that's not for brands?
I don't know for you guys, but I might. I might break the narrative here, but I believe social selling is going to be the norm. It's going to be more and more. I don't think there is a way to stop that. I just think that actually it's going to get bigger and bigger. That's, for example, why we create functionality around it to simplify the life of people.
So
because
yeah.
Honestly, I don't see people going away from Instagram, from TikTok, and from Facebook anyway. And the worst part is that these platforms are making it harder and harder for people to go outside.
Yeah.
So security-wise, the only thing I can recommend is, of course, to try as much as you can to have a strong password and to change it often. That's the only and classical solution I can offer. But yes, you're right. You should avoid having bank info on Instagram or etc. Even if, from my understanding, even if you have a bank info or someone, you cannot take money from them. If I understood right, your Nigerian NIP system. Yeah.
Wow.
So normally it's pretty safe, even if it's not the perfect.
So what are the options for integration with Afrikrea? I know we were discussing direct payments. Are there any other integrations that can be used from social media? So are we saying like it has to be swipe up to shop? I don't know if everyone has that feature. If everyone has a swipe up to shop feature, or are we saying, this link, you click on the picture and then it moves you onto the Afrikrea site, or there's a certain place where you get to that it checks you out on Afrikrea. Are there any integrations that can be used? Because I still expect that there will still be so much social selling.
Yes. Sorry, can you just repeat the question? I was answering someone, so I didn't get the beginning.
So the question was, what are the possible integrations do you think on Afrikrea for sort of moving that, not really moving that traffic, but how does Afrikrea play into that Instagram payment system?
So there is two ways. If you can link your Afrikrea shop to Instagram, so this way you will have the tab button linking to your Afrikrea shop right away. So that's possible. If you link your Afrikrea shop to your Facebook account, so that's very easy, because to link your Instagram account to your shop, you need to link your Facebook account to your Instagram account, and from there you link it to your Afrikrea shop. So we have actually a documentation on that. So any seller that wants it, you just ask the customer service to send you the details on how to do it.
Okay.
So that's the easy way. Just so you know, nobody taps on these links. Just so you know, because like data-wise, I will give you the info. Instagram. I know I'm maybe breaking a lot of like rhythm here, but these links, for example, for us, it's less than 1% of the traffic from Instagram that comes from these links. So people, even if they are on Instagram, they're going to go to your link on Instagram rather than type on this link. Nobody tap on it. I don't know why. Nobody does. Sometimes apparently they tap just to watch the price, and if they like the price, then they go on the website. But they don't even click there to go there.
Okay.
So that's it, I think, Instagram-wise. And after that, like I said, our real solution for social selling is really to simplify the payment and shipment. So the direct payment link that I gave you is very good because, like Damola said, a very interesting thing afterwards, that people underestimate the issue of inventory, the issue of managing the sales afterwards, knowing which sales is to be done in which time, to be shipped in which time, etc. Because it's a lot of work to keep track of all of that. And what we create on Afrikrea is that when you do a direct payment, so you have no commission on the sales coming from Instagram, for example, we help you on this sale. So we tell you how many times you have to ship it. We tell you when you're off delay, and you can, of course, just like the rest, it will save you time, because when someone makes a direct payment on Afrikrea, they will enter directly their shipping address. This will save you the time and the hassle of having to take it from Instagram, copy it on your DHL slip with the risk of making a mistake, and afterwards giving it. It's all one click for you when you use a direct payment. And once again, you can use the DHL deal of Afrikrea and you have 0 commission.
Okay.
So that's the real advantage. You have a question, Zainab, on the DHL rates for one item or more than one item. Okay, yeah, this one is very important. Normally, you have a little text that explains it below, and it's one of the places that people get a little lost. Is that keep in mind that the principle on Afrikrea is that people might buy more than one item from you. That's the idea. Okay, so you have the price from one item. For example, from Nigeria to ship to the US, I think it's $20 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, we lost him.
I'm sure he'll come back in a second.
Okay.
Sorry. Let me see if there's any questions I can answer before he comes back. Let me just, sorry, just give me 1 second. Amina, I think that, so Amina's asked a question about over $100. So when we searched, before we chose our shortlist for brands, one thing that was quite important to us was that we were looking for brands that had a lot of products under $100, just because that seems to be the bulk of bestsellers on Afrikrea. They always seem to be a little under $100. There are some products that do quite well over $100, but I think it also depends on what the product is. And when you upload your product and you put your price in, when you put in, you know, all the specifications of your product, it gives you, it sort of tells you, I don't know if you guys have seen this as well when you upload your products, but it sort of tells you whether your pricing is competitive,
Average,
not competitive.
higher than average.
Exactly, so it gives you a bit of an average. So over $100 does also sell, but we're talking about over $100, but I think that the bulk of things that sell in terms of your faster sellers are usually under $100. So I think it just depends on what the product is and, you know, all the things you said, how you're selling it, all the information that you're giving. It needs to look like it justifies a $100 price, I guess. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Sorry, Moulaye.
Yes. Sorry, I'm back. I don't know if you managed to answer the other item question. So the idea is that like I said, if you're shipping one product up to 2 kg, for example, from Nigeria, it's $20, for example. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that if someone orders 2 products, you still need to pay only 20. So you're not going to put, for example, for the product alone, 20 and 20 again for the product. You cannot do for another product. So what you should do then is put 10 there. So which means that if someone orders 2, they're going to pay 20. If they order 3, they're going to pay 30. If they order 4, it's going to be 40. So the line with another item is the price to be paid by item once you order more than 2. So that's the thing.
If you could just repeat that. So if I hear you right, are you saying that the price for one item, because multiple items, it told me it had to be lower, and I thought it would be higher because you're buying more than one. So I had set my pricing, singular items, to be 0.5.
Yes.
And then I put it more than one, I put it at 1 kg, and it didn't let me do that. So are you saying that I should swap it, do 1 kg and then?
Exactly. So basically the idea to keep in mind is the one product is what people are going to pay if you ship only one product. So that's the 0.5 that you say, okay? But what happens is if someone pays 2 of them, we're going to take the price of another product, but it's not an addition. We're going to take for each product the additional price. For example, if you take a small bag that is only 0.5, okay? You can say, for example, it's $15, okay? If you buy it alone. But if someone buys a small bag and a big bag, we're going to take for the small bag another item price, and for the big bag, the another item price. So for each item someone buys, we're going to take the another item. So we're not going to do an addition. For example, just to give you an idea, you can say you have a big bag that is A, a small bag that is B, okay? The big bag that is A, to ship, it's $20, okay? And the small bag to ship that is B, it costs 15, okay? So if someone takes the bag A and the bag B, you're not going to have them pay 35, because basically with the price of the 20, you can pay for both, because it's the kg, the kilo are not going to change. In the pricing of the big one that is 2 kilo, you can put the 0.5 and not change the pricing. So that's there. I recommend to put at the pricing of another product A, instead of 20, you put 10, for example. And for the other one, you put also 10 for another product, for the B product. So this way, if someone orders both, they're going to pay 10 and 10, they're going to pay 20. That's the idea of it. So we allow you to have a pricing that is used specifically for this product as soon as there is 2 products ordered from your shop. So it's a little different from doing an addition, what most people are used to. You just need to keep in mind that to put the pricing of another product, you just put, generally it's half of the product price alone, generally.
So
because that's the calculation.
So are you saying instead of her choosing her weights at 0.5, she should choose her weights at 1 kg?
Yeah.
To make space for an additional item without a search.
Yes. Exactly. So that's why, the idea is you put the price to ship a product alone. That's the price of its shipping. And with another item, I recommend putting half, because that's what is going to be given if you have to put 2 of them. That depends if the product have the same size and the same weight, because the issue that we have and we're trying to cover here is that some designers do not have the same weight for all products. Specifically, especially for accessories and bags, you can have some bags that are less than 1 kilo and other bags that are 2 or 3 kilos. So how do you do then? So what we do generally is that we ask you to put half of the price to ship it as price with another product.
No, but what price would you put for the first? Would you put it 2 or 3 kg?
3.
Oh, I would put the 2 kg, because if it goes alone, it's the alone. You don't need to put the highest. You don't need to put the higher price. Don't forget that we are not doing an addition. If someone orders 1, we just take the price alone. You see? And if someone orders 2, we just take the price of another product for each of them. So we don't do an addition. So I suppose you take the lower cost of it, so the 2 kg if it's a 2 kg bag, as the price alone. You take the lowest price you have for the actual weight of the product. And afterwards, for another product, if it's sold with another product, you put half of this price. This way,
so I have to create, So I have to create a profile for each bag with a different weight, basically.
If they are different weight, exactly. If your bags have the same weight, you can keep one profile for all of these weight. You can use the same profile for the same weight. But if you have bags from a different weight, that's why the shipping profiles are interesting. You can use different so that you don't lose money on different bags, because otherwise You would lose money if someone orders a big and a small.
Yeah.
I know it's a little complex, but it's useful when you have different type and size of product and different weights.
Okay.
So, and just to reconfirm, they don't do volume, it's just weight, right?
Exactly. They don't do volume.
That's
except
excellent.
if your bag is more than, I think, 50 centimeter wide. So that's quite big. That's
like that's like a size of a weekender. That's half a meter.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's exactly the weekender basically. Yeah. So except the very big bags like the weekender, maybe these ones sometimes they might do volume, but it's very rare. I don't think they do it often.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh yes. No problem. I see there is a lot of questions.
I was also going to ask about
yes.
So some of these questions are again about gold and silver. I don't know. I don't want to ask if silver can come to the site in a week. I feel like that might be
yes. No, yes. People can ask me question anyway. Like I said, my email is m@afrikrea.com. So it's very easy to find me. If you have a direct question, you can ask me there. If it's a direct question. But silver and gold wise, I think the difference is material. So in the material, you can put silver. But like I said, the materials, the colors, all of this is not the description. We use it to do filters and for your search. So the details that you want to put, you need to put that in the description, not as, you don't need to have as much details in the attributes.
Okay.
The attributes of one product is ready to ship. Okay, I have a question about, what are my thoughts on brands adding the cost of delivery to the best cost? Also, okay, so that's something that is quite simple on Afrikrea. As a brand, you don't need to care about this adding the shipping or not. You can be fully transparent, and we at Afrikrea, we will do what we call the dynamic pricing. So what you need to focus as a brand is to say, for this product, how much money do you want as a basis? And afterwards, you input the shipping cost to you to ship it to different zones of the world. So for France, US, etc. You just put that. Once you do that, when someone browses from the US, we're going to display automatically a price that is including the shipping cost so that they don't have to pay more than $10 of shipping. And if your prices and your shipping are, when we integrate it is lower than $5, that's when we do free shipping. Okay. So it's automatic. A designer doesn't have to.
Oh gosh.
Hello?
Hello?
Sorry, I lost it, So like I said, as a seller on Afrikrea, that's a very good question. You don't need to worry about integrating or not. You just put what is the amount you want for the product, what is the shipping cost for each destination, and we will do the work for you of defining different prices by country, because the issue is that the shipping cost changes for each country. So you cannot try to integrate it in your price yourself. And like I said, on Afrikrea, we have sales for over 100 countries. So you cannot do 100 prices. So that's why we just said to each designer, give us your big zones of shipping. So Europe, US, the rest of the world, your shipping cost, and give us how much money you want. And we will make sure that it is displayed nicely to visitors so that they feel like the prices they have will not have too much shipping on top. Because to give you an idea, we divided by half the number of people that dropped at the shipping cost. Because before we had almost 40% of people that dropped, 70% of people that dropped at the shipping cost. Because there was too much shipping cost compared to the product price. And now, since we automated that, we have less than 20%.
Okay, so it says free shipping. But
yes.
Okay.
It says free shipping because we integrated the price they see with the shipping cost already. So it's actually free. Yes, it's actually free. You don't pay the shipping. But we save the time to the designer to have to manage that, because before each seller had to decide, okay, for this country, I'm putting this amount of shipping in. For this country, that leaves me that amount of shipping. And that was too complicated to manage.
Okay. Thank you.
Which means that, for example, For designers that live in Nigeria, for example, or sell in Nigeria also, that's very interesting because you can put the price in Nigeria as the base price, and then you can have different prices by country. You can completely have a price that is different by country.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Someone had a question about fulfillment. So they have 2 fulfillment centers, one in the US and one in Nigeria. Which address should they use for DHL? And is it possible to use both?
Sorry, they have 2 fulfillment shipments. They can use both. Of course, they can use both because when you use our account to ship, you decide from where you're shipping. So basically, you can say I'm shipping from the US to Nigeria or to Nigeria to the US. You can do either way. Just so you know, the Nigeria deal is better than the US one. So it's up to the need you have, but it's simple. The more designers we have in a country using the deal, the better the prices. So that's also an incentive for designers to bring other designers to use the deal, because the more shipment we do all together, the better the prices.
Great. Thank you. And then there's another one. I really just I want to just do these questions with you so we can let you go, because now it's been over an hour and a half. There's a question about being discovered. So your page being discovered on Afrikrea, even using keywords. So what would you suggest in terms of how to find their pages?
Yes. So discovery-wise, there is, of course, the general method on Afrikrea, to give you an idea, is that we display first the products that are popular. That's simple. A product is popular when you have more than 5 sales in the last 30 days, or if you have a lot of people putting it in the cart or liking it. So it's very simple. I think that's pretty basic in the sense that it's pretty functioning. So basically, the best way to be visible on Afrikrea is to put often a lot of products, because the more products you put, the more chances you have of one of them to becoming popular. And once a product is popular, it's always in the front pages on the website. Basically, people are going to go and see your shop then. So they're going to start buying the rest. If you want to accelerate this process, you can buy what we call on Afrikrea boost packs. So if you look on Afrikrea, you will see that every 4 lines, you have a line for products that are sponsored. And this sponsored placement, it starts from $10. So you can pay $10 and have 10,000 views. So that means that for the next 10,000 views after you boost one product, they're going to be first. So that's another solution that you can have. And anyway, people always ask me how to be, for example, posted on social media. That's a good question, for example. It's simple. The more often you put product also, the more chances you have to us to put you on social media, because actually we need the content to put it often. We post on Instagram 9 times a day. So it's simple. The more products you put up and often, because it's not good to come one day, for example, and put 100 products. If you do that, we cannot post the 101 on Instagram. It's better to post 10 times 10 products so that you have more chances for us to pick you up and post you often.
Okay, thank you. That's
no
great.
problem. And to answer the question that somebody has, yes, you can use the DHL deal as part of to order things you need in your business. So you can even use it, for example, to get parts from China or to get parts from other countries, no problem.
Okay, and then one other thing is I want to talk about delays and returns really quickly. So someone's asking about what the delay is in terms of shipping, and then returns. How can we reduce returns, and how do they also work? Are they paid for?
Oh, okay. The delay, you're the one fixing it. So the delay is up to the designer, depending on how do you produce and how long it takes you to produce the product. Knowing that people on Afrikrea are very patient. Just so you know, the average delay on Afrikrea from order to actual shipments is 21 days. So you can take your time to make a product. So you can put 20 days and people generally wait because your products are rare enough that they can wait. So that's the number one point. For returns, it comes back to the question of sizing. When someone wants to do a return on Afrikrea, they notify the buyer and us saying, I want to do a return. They explain the reason. And then the buyer has, I think it's 15 days to send back the product. Okay? And once they send it back, the seller can refund them. That's simple as that. Just so you know, in the US and the UK, in the US and in France, it's mandatory to do returns. I know that Nigerian sellers are the ones that are always saying they don't do returns. I don't know how they manage to do it if they sell otherwise, but internationally, it's absolutely mandatory to do returns. You have to do returns. Otherwise, people are not going to buy online because they don't see the product. So that's how it works on Afrikrea. Of course, afterwards, it's up to the designer and the buyer to discuss on how. To discuss who pays the cost for return is the buyer. So when you register to Afrikrea, you will have what you call a seller charter. So we give you all the situation in which returns happen. So the seller pays the return only if the product doesn't look like the picture, or if it doesn't, if it is, I might say, damaged. That's the only thing. If, for example, it doesn't fit, it's up to the buyer to pay it to return. Or if they just don't like it, it's up to them to pay to return it. That's simple. So the seller only has to pay if the product is damaged or doesn't look like the picture at all.
Okay, perfect.
That's it.
I'm gonna let you rest for like 1 second, and I'll answer this question from Hawa. You asked about the consultation sessions for the winner.
Yes.
So the best sales strategy, I sort of discussed this on Friday. The things that we're looking for is we're looking for brands that are pushing XRetail and their store in Afrikrea. So that's on social media. We've sent out logos. Some people requested that they wanted to make their own flyers. So we've sent out, all the necessary logos for that. So for me, I would say the things that we're looking for is people that are selling, and on Afrikarea's end as well, they're looking at, when you get messages, how quickly do you respond to your messages? What's your customer service like? Are you offering any special deals? How are you relating to your customer? So if you don't have a delay, if everything you're selling is ready to made, how quick are your shipments going off? That sort of thing. So customer relations, that sort of sales, pushing your products as well over the weekend. And then the 2 consultation sessions is basically, I think with the winner, our idea is we'll have 2 sessions with an expert. It might be Moulaye, it might be with, so it really depends on what your need is, because
exactly.
I don't just want to like pigeonhole what your need is, but if your need is like supply chain, then in the SHF network, we'll find you someone that's amazing with supply chains. If it's e-commerce, we'll get you someone that's great with e-commerce. If it's PR or Instagram, we'll get you someone that's great with PR or Instagram. So that's what the 2 sessions are. I hope that answers it. Thank you. All right. These are just a lot of questions on shipping.
Yes, that's good. I'm going to answer. There is one that is very interesting of Kike Ajayi saying, are you seeing the shipping cost we set for various countries does not matter since you're faster, the cost in the shipping cost at back end? No, I'm not saying that it matters. I'm just saying that you don't need to try to integrate part of the shipping cost in the prices you set. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that if you put the price you put is actually the price without any integration of shipping cost, because in the end, we are going to integrate the shipping cost ourselves. So that's what I'm trying to say to clarify for Kike Ajayi, is that you don't need to try to integrate part of the shipping in the price before entering your shipping cost. And to be clear, what we call shipping cost, you can even put there some type of margin. For example, I have designers on Afrikrea that sell, for example, in Senegal, they sell their product, for example, $20 in Senegal because of the market in Senegal. But the same product, they want to sell it at $40 in the US because the US customers has obviously more, I might say, buying power and more interest for the product. So what you can do is that you can, in the shipping cost for US, you can add not only the shipping cost, but also $20 if you want. It's up to you. We'll let you be free on, basically what you're deciding when you put the shipping cost is to decide what is going to be the total price someone is going to pay if they buy from the US. So you can even have different pricing depending on the zone in the world if you want. But what I'm always saying is that the price of the product, the base price, you don't need to integrate into any shipping into it because we're going to make it work afterwards. That's it. The volume shipping is that special what you have with DHL. It's good to know as you have individual item as well as item in the gift box. Yes, so the volume shipping, what I meant is that the more shipments we have from one country, the better the price is. So if you have gift items or a lot of product that you can put together, it's good, but it's up to you honestly to decide. It's more important for you to, I might say, use something that is beneficial for you economically than to worry about if it makes sense for us. Okay, a question for Christopher Akpo. What about if I choose my shipping to be free, but included it in the product price? If you do that, that's what we're going to do anyway, Christopher. That's what I'm saying. If your products price are going to be, I might say, if you want it to be free anyway, what you can do is you can put the product price to be high enough, I might say, to include it in the shipping and put 0 as shipping cost. This way, it's going to be free for this destination for sure. The only consequence if you put the shipping in the product price is that for all the other countries in the world, you will have to add the shipping in addition to it. So you will have to deduct it. So I think it's more complicated. But if you want all of your shipping to be free, you can decide to put 0 in all of the shipping and just put the product price including it. It's up to you. That's why we leave designers to decide yet. We are not defining ourselves the shipping cost. You guys decide.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Moulaye. I think that this is a good place to leave it. It's been almost 2 hours, and I'm really, I know how hard it is to get a hold of you and have you sit down and answer questions. So I mean, on behalf of the team, we're so grateful that you agreed to do this session with us. I hope that everyone that had any questions, Moulaye has sort of answered your questions. Anyone that was apprehensive about Afrikrea, I hope you're not apprehensive anymore.
Yes.
We're really looking forward to Friday when it goes live. Yeah, we have some, it's going to look amazing. Afrikrea has been working super hard on our subdomain, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. And then we'll share any more information with you over the week by email. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Aisse, for joining us. Thank you, Zainab. Thank you, Damola. Thank you, Moulaye.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone, have a good evening, and we'll be in touch soon. See you at XRetail.
Thank you.
But not really see you, if that makes any sense. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.